Good evening. Hi, how are you guys? Can't hear you. So in case you don't know where you are, I'm pretty sure you do, but this is a public workshop to inform the 2025 comprehensive plan. And you might already know that a comprehensive plan is a complex document and it outlines community's vision and goals for the future, goals for its physical, social, economic, and environmental development. It's like a blueprint, and it's a requirement by the state to update it every 10 years. The last update was in 2015, and we're working on the current update now. Um, and we should have it done by the end of next year so it can be adopted by 2025. I want to say that a good comprehensive plan isn't just written by town staff, but it requires input from the community that it intends to serve, which is why we're holding this public workshop to give everyone a chance to voice their opinion and be part of the decision-making process. And community input always helps ensure that projects and policies are aligned with the needs and preferences of the community. So this is the first workshop out of 4. This workshop will cover 3 main interconnected pillars that provide a framework for understanding, achieving sustainability. These pillars are economic, environmental, and social aspects of future growth. So in this workshop, we'll do like a SWOT analysis, which I'll go over in a minute, and we'll use that to identify what factors influence the current conditions and future development of Emmitsburg. And this workshop will be about overall evaluation, while the next 3 workshops will focus on each of the 3 pillars that I just mentioned. And overall, these workshops will assess where the community is now, where it's going, and where the community wants to be, how we'll get there, etc. And all the information that we gather from these public workshops will be incorporated into the comprehensive plan. So before if we get started with our activities, I wanted to just go over the agenda. Next slide. So I've already kind of introduced the workshop to you, so I'll just move on to the rules and guidelines shortly before we start the first activity. And after the first activity, we'll brief you on what SWOT analysis is and the 3 pillars of sustainability. And then we'll move to the second activity and discussion. And then we'll close out with information about next steps. With that, let's move on to the rules and guidelines. Next slide. Okay. So I just really want to emphasize that this is a safe space where all ideas are welcome, and I'll need your help to make it a non-discriminatory environment. This can only happen when everyone acknowledges and respects the diversity of perspectives and experiences among participants. So when we have a discussion, please use active listening skills and avoid interruption. Please avoid offensive and discriminatory language and raise your concerns respectfully. And all these steps should help create a safe space. And we want to make sure that all voices are heard. And that's what's needed to create an effective comprehensive plan. So our first activity is brainstorming words and phrases that best describe the core identity of Emmitsburg, and figuring out what values should drive the 2025 comprehensive plan. Yes. Oh, could you give me 1 sec before? Yeah, I'll give you a chance to ask questions. So I know a lot of you filled out the online survey and already answered these questions, but we wanted to bring this up again during this meeting so we can kind of bounce ideas off of each other. I've already put up what we received online up there, so we can take a look and maybe get more ideas. So I guess before we move on to that activity, we'll take questions. Yeah.
I just wondered, I'm not sure that everybody in here knows who everybody else is. Is it possible to introduce people?
I think, Diane, that probably the best way is for people when they make an, a suggestion or something like that, to go ahead and identify himself or herself at that time.
Okay.
And then that way we'll just keep, be
Keep
mission
moving
driven, if you will,
forward and-
right?
Yeah, get to know each other. a
Sure.
little bit. Okay, thank you.
Of course. All right, so we have clipboards, sticky notes, pens, and most importantly, candy. So, so yeah, come up here, grab some and put your ideas up there. We'll take about 10 minutes doing this activity, then we'll have a short discussion.
And also, if you'd like to go up and read what's already there, certainly feel free.
Yes.
Do not let me have it.
That's a good color.
No.
You want the candy to be gone?
Yes.
What you're saying?
No, I don't want it to be in front of me anymore. I've already taken some.
Good, how are you? Good to see you.
You know, when I was looking, I was like, I can't read that from here.
Yeah.
Oh, from that side?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I'll go to the other side.
Good, how are you?
I,
It's shutting down. Gets this error message and it dies, then comes back up again. Time for a new one.
that's weird.
Yeah.
That was happening when I was in court. I'm like.
Oh, that's the worst. Yeah.
If you don't have your IT team with you, it's a real problem.
Yeah.
You guys have this, finish this. Are you gonna summarize the results on the website?
Oh, yeah. I'll try to record and just
Yeah.
post it more.
Well, yeah, and just, so people say, yeah, that was my comment, and summarize here, and then how to, integrate things. It is really cool. I mean, it's an exciting opportunity, and I'm glad to see people here.
Yeah, me too.
Because, frequently what happens is you'll have people show up or not show up, and then after it's adopted, then you get a bunch of,
Yeah.
you know,
Just want to do relations.
yeah, and it's not as though you can just say, well, you had the opportunity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Participate in the process and consider the pros and cons. How are we gonna do the, we're gonna have a discussion about these, or the three things over here?
Yeah, so after we're done with this,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go up there and like kind of read off of that and then tell people to elaborate on their points.
Mm-hmm.
And after we do all of that, I'm gonna go over the full SWOT analysis, like brief them on what it is and all that, and then tell them what they're gonna do with
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, I think you don't need to repeat everything, it's identical, but.
We still have 5 minutes left if you want to add some more,
We can move on.
or we can move on. Yeah. So I'm gonna go up there and go through each of those sticky notes, and I'll have people elaborate on their points. Y'all can hear me, kind of. All right. So the first one is what words or phrases that best describe the core identity of Emmitsburg? I have one that says values its community and service, a host of National Emergency Training Center, Emergency Management Institute, National Fire Academy, National Fallen Firefighters Memorial, etc. Does anyone want to talk about that? What, did I see a hand? No? All right. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. A small town with a past to cherish. Does anyone want to talk about that? No? If I give you candy, will you? All right. Opportunity to look forward to bright future.
Look forward to what?
Bright future? Yeah.
Bright future.
Yeah. Anything?
I mean, I think the one about with the past to cherish, I think Diane Wahlberg. We're here at the end of town on West Main Street. Not right there. Anyway, I think what we've been doing lately has been important in terms of putting up those history signs and the benches for people to sit, and I think that goes a long way towards beginning to cherish our history. So I value that, and I hope we can continue it.
Great, thank you. The next one we have is blue collar. Does anyone want to talk about that? Sure.
Sorry again. I noticed that some of the features up there that people use to describe Emmitsburg and define Emmitsburg almost seem to be opposing. So I thought it was interesting. You know, you've got small town, college town, and then you've got rural, and then you've got blue collar, which you typically don't tend to think of all three of those together. So I just thought it was interesting how we were gonna eventually be able to either incorporate all of those or determine that what we really wanted as a town. So, does anybody else have any thoughts about that?
Walk long. Also live at the west end of town, live at the Best Island's house. I'm not sure I agree that they are, I think all of these things are true. Have a college town and a small town and a blue collar town all at the same time. And these aren't the aspirations, this is describing where we're at now, I think, so these aren't where we want to be.
Good point. And I'm not saying that they're logically opposed. I'm just saying it's interesting that they
It's an
would
interesting
see,
combination.
they would see at first glance be opposed, but.
Yeah, I go, Kevin Hagan, I'm even further west of east.
Almost out of 10.
Almost out of town. I think it gets into the towns changing and we have different populations coming. It's part of how the people describe it, populations change what they value, who they are.
I just really wanted to get this going so I could figure out who everybody.
Great.
The college town, I believe I asked the vice president, dean of students at the Mount.
Oh.
The college town is an interesting one to me because when you're on campus, it feels like a town. Emmitsburg, and some of our students don't travel to Emmitsburg. I get a lot of Facebook Emmitsburg cares messages from some town people sometimes, but because we have some students living in town, but some just go that way. They just go towards Thurmont. So it's interesting. It is a college town, but it's just interesting because sometimes when you're on campus, it's like that is another town in some ways, because there's really no connection to town.
Okay.
Well, and that might be something that we should look at seriously in trying to nurture and develop.
And that's ebbed and flowed over the years. 'Cause I don't know if any of the rest of you have ever been out to the Eastern Museum. Used to go out to the president's house like every other month. He was having events.
It's still not a large, it's not insignificant.
Something that from students towards Thurmont.
The sidewalks. And not all of our students drive, but I think it's easy just to, if you do drive, just to get on the road and head up 15. Now, the runners has helped, because I know students go up that way. But so it's just a lack of being able to walk or take a bike or something like that.
There's really nothing for them. Let's just call it what it is. What if they're college kids? What are they going to do besides go to the bar? Nothing here. There's nothing here to attract kids to stay in town. They live in town. They rent in town. Why do they go to Rudders to get food? They go to the restaurant. And they go back home. Here, it's town. I'm not criticizing that. I'm just stating the obvious. There's no draw for them outside, eat, drink.
But it's a two-way street though, too, right? Because when you see certain college towns, there are many activities or productions, things like that are happening at a university. And then the town citizens, the residents, view that college as a resource as well. And, so it's a process.
Yeah, I think that we're lacking as a town.
Mhm.
I've been for years as a business owner, and I've been way more grateful about college kids than ever.
All right, something to work on.
Yeah, absolutely.
College yesterday, and I guess as a college grad, every once in a while, you will see that the campus is good. It's more, maybe a cost, but there's no knowledge at time from community where we might want to go and participate.
I see that as a criticism on our part, not just that.
For all this conversation too much where it is, but I saw on values where the message doesn't get out. I think we are a town of older folks that aren't on social media. So it's harder to get the word out to these people, to folks that aren't on social media sites. And even if they are, and again, not a criticism, I think that's to your point, man, I think that there's not, and I'm not putting it on the map, I'm not putting it on anywhere specific, but it's not an open, I get people coming and they have no idea that this event just occurred. No clue whatsoever. So I think there's we can do a better job connecting college and the town and getting that information out. You see here the town's Instagram page. I'm the only one who ever likes anything. You know what I mean? Because I'm a local business. Like, it's just not getting through. I don't think the town's necessarily tapping the right social media or the right media outlet, or if the media outlet is college kids volunteering and standing out in front of Jubilee, handing out flyers. Here's what's coming up next month. Something like that, I think paper would be more productive than social media, is my sense of things.
Well, then you got two big newspapers, you got the other and.
I don't think they're heavily read, to be honest with you. I get both of them every month. I supply both of them at my shop, and nobody ever. That's not. just don't see it.
Well, but they come to us in the mail.
No, understood, but are you, I think, read things in the paper that people have no idea ever happened. So I'm just saying, I don't know the means for it, but I think we could do a better job as a town communicating events at the mountain for one thing, right? Events at the town for another. I don't know how that plays out, but I think so.
Are
Did
you
you have
guys
sorry.
one of the developments or?
We live right down.
Oh, in town,
All right.
on Main Street or?
Old Buckeye.
Just want to give him a chance to speak right there. Sorry. Sorry.
Oh.
Oh, sorry. He just had his hand up, so I just wanted to make sure he got a chance to say what he wanted to say.
I'm patient. A lot of good ideas. It's interesting that we're starting out talking about our identities and the things that we value. And when you talk strategy and tactics, one of the things that is always a good practice is to leverage the things that are who you are. You know, if one of your identities isn't a positive, maybe that's not a great strategy or tactic. But my point is, the mound is not listed on either board right now. And that is clearly part of our identity. And it is one of our strengths. And it is something that we should value because it means growth for Emmitsburg. And so as we think of our comprehensive plan and strategies and tactics, how we bring ourselves closer to the mountain, it would be foolish, in my opinion, not to weight that heavily.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, my name was Scott Fraser, and it still is.
I'm Sean McMahon. I live in the Brookfield community. I haven't been to college in a long time. But when I was in college, I went to school in Colorado. And there are things here that I think would appeal to me. We got this frisbee golf course. I've taken my daughter and my son on that a couple of times. When I was in Colorado, they didn't actually have a frisbee golf course. We used land features in that campus. And I think that's great. And then you got Liberty right here, which I think, because this is the way you get to it. And, you know, I'll come back because we live in Nashville all the time. You can't control the weather, so last season wasn't the best. But, you know, I think you may go to, you say, when we come back, I can see people looking for places they eat. You know, like, I think you could have to get Urbana or something, but, you know, so that kind of group of people who are going skiing and stuff will probably eat something before they get up there because they might have traveled far. Then they want to get something as a kind of lead. Yeah, there's opportunity. There's things here, you know. Not something that we have a rainbow days in. I didn't know about until we moved here. Great. We're up here.
Great. Yeah, that's great. Loving this conversation right there. A lot of good things about this town. It's a matter of, you know, when you hear about it or not, making the most out of it. So I'll just go over a few more of these and then I'll move on to the next one for the sake of time. That's okay, with everyone. All right. Okay, so we got bedroom community. Does anyone want to talk about that?
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Bedroom community.
That's somewhat true.
Yeah.
Yeah. it should change.
Yeah, it has.
Okay.
And evolution.
I will say it's a fault we live down on Main Street, we're outside of town now. Not a lot of faculty staff live in Emmitsburg. And for a guy who's who worked at a small community in Kansas, everyone lived there, we go to the bar with your colleagues. Not a lot of that's happening. I don't go with President Trainer a lot to the bars, but that was about the only guy, so it was hard. And when we had trivia nights, that was probably the best time where we felt like we were part of the community at Ox, because we actually got the provost there and a few other word colleagues and had trivia there before COVID. So it is a true thing, but it's also not a great thing when it comes to the Mount. I think the Mount could do a better job of promoting Emmitsburg in terms of housing. And people get employed, but a lot of people live in Frederick or Thurmont or Gettysburg, things like that, or Fairfield. So that makes it a little bit harder when you're working here and living in the area.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll do changing and growing younger together, I guess, because that's something that's happening.
So those are mine.
Yeah.
And I think as people here, we're in a changing flux. One, coming of bedroom communities, COVID has driven that behind you. So it's in that changing of it is. And I think what's missed a lot of times, the last census, the average age now is 42, 43 years, down from 51. Pretty drastic drop. So it's a changing of what the community is. And I see a lot of younger families now, mixed in. So it's people moving in from different exits, not people. So we're drawing people in from Montgomery Town there. And it's a melding of all these points of views of what people have important to them. It's foolish not to recognize all of that and leverage those strengths.
Great. So, is there any point up here that I haven't mentioned that you think we should really discuss before we move on to the next prompt? Yeah.
So the gentleman over there kind of alluded to it, and I don't know that it's up there, but we have a great trail system,
Oh.
great parks.
Yeah.
I think that part of our.
Yeah. Let me just get a
Don't
signal.
recall that it's up there.
Yeah, I got it. I'll write it down. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just move on to the second question. That should drive this one. So I kind of grouped up this on my point. Growth. The first one I see here is opportunity is key to housing opportunities for the next capitalize on our location or align and with the boundary or business development.
Just a number of those were up there before we got. I was curious, was there a previous meeting here, or was that like the town staff? What are those other?
Oh, so we sent out a survey.
Oh, okay.
It was on the flyer that we sent out with our water bills.
Okay.
So sorry. The more opportunities for service.
Did you see the notice?
I did.
He did, I mean, that's how we were, curious where the input was coming from, helps us.
Oh, we were crying from the water bill.
I didn't see the survey.
Or did not in the water.
Where it said survey, it's tears.
I'll kind of speak to that point. I'm Shelby Reed. We see a lot about a small town. That's when I think about what I love about Emmitsburg. We don't live in the city, so there's that benefit of smaller than that. But there's a lot of note up there about opportunity. So there's this work that are not full. Businesses that, but there's also, places that like to focus on things that support businesses. Parking comes to mind. And obstacles to that. Not that I want to focus on the obstacles while we talk about the value, but I think there are probably a lot of great places.
I'll speak to that. I wrote, so that was part of the survey. But Eric Soder, lived at Brook some years, resident. I do, we kind of touched on the values, sort of this synergy and opportunity for that have been flowed over the years. And, I think that's important that we continue to cultivate that. I guess the second one I'll speak to is the connectivity, connected physically through paths and trails of recreation as well as through partnerships and shared experiences because Mr. Hagan makes a good point, changing demographics, that doesn't mean we can't continue to be a well-connected community. Welcome new people. I was welcome here 20 years ago. Raise my kids here. Just adults. Life works in Mount, works down at campus now, but so. But the point is, 20 years ago I was a new resident, but feel welcomed over the last 2 decades, and I think we have the opportunity to do that. What's the next 20 years? Opportunities that we can learn from that, and always do it better. We always have a some of that connectivity, physical. Mentioned just trying to make those connections.
Just one thing talking about connectivity. There's going to be a Cully Park, land about. And still, I'm a bicyclist, and it would be wonderful to be able to hop on my bike and go over there to Cully Park, which is across the day. So, is there a way, as you're looking at the comprehensive plan, and I have no idea how far out the Cully Park plan, how many years this could be, but to be sure that you keep that in mind, because that would be a good thing.
So full disclosure, just sort of like a land professor as well. I was actually planning director for the county, still land practice, but that county park is still a number of years.
Right.
I think we're going to start doing the planning in the next 5 years. And at one time there was, or still one, to get at least a pedestrian connection open. It's going to be a lot of dollars, a lot of coordination, state highway to happen, but it's not out of the question that we're not going to use it. It's going to be a shame that we have to. What's that?
People performing planning that's it's in the plan.
What's one other one? The needs of the poor, working or otherwise, and children.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, I must be half deaf.
Sorry.
I'm having a hard time hearing.
Okay. The needs of the poor, working or otherwise, and children.
I didn't write that, but I'll speak to that as I'm sure a number of people know here that Emmitsburg has a very high rate of folks that are considered ALICE, or asset limited, income constrained. Probably had the highest number of folks in the county. So these are the working poor. Percentage of those folks, I think it's really important. It's down to create some opportunities for those folks. Housing opportunities, job opportunities, service opportunities, whatever.
I think of Mark and I were talking before this week. It is close to, I think, half of the population that when we did the survey 2 years ago, it was Allison, yes, the town can't throw money at it, maybe in addition to the housing, workshops, skill sets. We need to address this, it's a large part of our population. What can we do to help them get out? It's partner with the senior center, think all that.
But say, the Seton Center does focus on that topic. But we may need more, or. Partner.
Yeah.
They have a new executive director. May be very beneficial to come to this kind of meetings. Give us a view, what's happening.
Yeah, it's played pretty full. Yeah, she is great. As far as the businesses go, I'm sorry. I would say that, you know, we try and figure out the line between, if you think lower income, you think working poor, what do you think? Do you think small business or do you think factory? Do you think warehouse? Where does your mind go? Right? Like, there's been rumor about a Chewy warehouse. Out on the Trout property, that's sort of, that is, you know, towards the lower end of the economic scale, right? In terms of work. Is that what the town's looking for? Or I've heard a lot of discussion over the years about, you know, town used to be the model of shop on the bottom, live alone. That model is gone. Okay? It's all zoned residential. It's not coming back. I'm not saying that there can't be small businesses that are about, you know what I mean, in the town, but by and large, people live in these residences. They are residences. They're not businesses anymore. Right? We have some things sitting derelict, as we all know. How do we address this going forward? Is this something we pursue on which end of the spectrum? Are we pushing small business to help small business come in and employ a couple of people, or we economically thinking warehouse and that type of, am I wrong in my assumption here? Please step back.
I think it's incumbent to look at the town as development and the town officials to look at, try to develop all types of business, whether that's small or large. The object of government is to empower the town and improve the lives of its residents.
Sure.
That
So we
means-
have the room and the capacity for all types of businesses. I
Well,
mean,
that's part of your plan, is you have to say out there, one, I think we can have growth at 300 single-family homes. I can say, I want this economic zone to develop. Office business parks or some
right, but in
industrial.
this development, my point being, in the development phase, we have to kind of, to a degree, focus on, or is this a dual, can we do it all?
So the Trout property that you referenced, the zoning that has been recently changed. Combination of this research.
Right,
part
right.
of that.
Kevin, inform me of that.
And so that would encompass all kinds of things, you know, high-tech growth.
Does Emmitsburg, I mean, is this town business that, like, what are we looking for here by, you know, the definition of low income housing and or entry level housing has changed drastically. I mean, drastically. So what does that mean? You know, when the developer was talking about the Fraley farm, their low end is $300,000 townhouses. Right, that's what I mean. So, I mean, is this all part of what's going to be addressed? That's my question. I'm not trying to direct anything. I'm just trying to figure out, I'm trying to whittle it down here to what this plan will be addressing. Is it all of the above? Is it that?
So probably all the.
Well, we have a-
It's a mixture.
Yeah.
It's a mixture of both.
Okay, okay. That was my bigger question. Sorry, that's all we get.
So I'm raising my hand because the things that you're talking about important to me. I like it. 33 years ago, my wife and I moved to Germantown, Maryland. And Germantown 33 years ago is kind of like Emmitsburg is today. And so one of the things that I learned, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't think about it when I'm looking at a list of values and looking at a list of, what we value as our core identity. But the plan ought to be careful not to change Emmitsburg away from what it is we love about Emmitsburg. And so the reason I bring it up and the reason I say it the way that I did is I moved here because I didn't love Germantown anymore. And I'd hate to see that happen to Emmitsburg. Some of the things that you guys have talked about, welcoming new people. I never saw a community in the state of Maryland where you walk down the street and everybody waves at you. So there are things about Emmitsburg that are unique, and they are valuable, and they are part of our identity. And so when we start thinking about the plan, maybe one of the questions we need to ask everyone in Emmitsburg are, what are the things that we value most and don't want to lose?
I would say to local business or small services, things like childcare, help families, especially those that are struggling, but even those that aren't, I think myself that has a 3-year-old that we're take our kids daycare. Those types of things to help families. And there's a lot of homeschooling families as well, but those that aren't, especially a veterans community that has to drive would help. I think the university can actually help with that as well. I think President Trainer, now that I have a 3-year-old, understands, because they talked about, university starting daycare. He's like, I don't want to get in that business, but now season, I think. So there's a partnership there. I think services to help people while they're working. Great. That's just one idea, because it said children up there. That's just one.
Excuse me, this one. What's the acronym? So
limited to become constrained before.
think about what you just said and ask yourself, what would be the benefit to the town of Emmitsburg if what we wanted to do is build ourselves around the opportunity for people who don't have adequate childcare? And that's one of the reasons why they're not able to work or spend a lot of time away from it. I mean, in today's world, a mother has to make a choice between staying home and raising their children, which is kind of what the big guy wants perhaps people to do, and putting food on the table or a roof over your head. Something that could make Emmitsburg different from any other community in the state of Maryland is we go through extra steps to make sure that childcare is not something that people go broke over. It's something that helps. Absolutely. And would that be a service to the community of Emmitsburg?
And then also, some of our residents, students do not go to Emmitsburg schools because of childcare. So taking their kids involved.
We used to have a Head Start program. Still do. In this building? No, we don't. It's gone for a while.
Since COVID.
It's down there.
It's down there, the state's down there, but they're
So
not
the funding ended.
Mm-hmm.
right. So maybe there's a way that we could partner with human services in the county.
Had a county representative at one time.
Just out of curiosity, how would the funding end?
I don't know.
No, we just know that it all had to do with Carter County.
Yeah, right. I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's like,
So that person was talking about bringing it back.
They were trying to get a foothold back into Emmitsburg because there's a guy. Yeah, right.
But that's also contingent on Frederick County.
Yeah, it is. You talking about Head Start now?
Yeah.
Head Start.
So Head Start is an operating like, it's
Federal program.
but somebody else, this is the YMCA, it's, my wife used to work here.
The funding didn't come from the Y.
Well, you may be right, because my wife retired 2 years ago, so I. But it's not up to the county.
No, I don't. She spoke. And
We used to have a family partnership here. Dealt with,
It's like there's a lot of opportunities and threats that we've got here.
Yeah, so that reminds me, we gotta,
More into that.
yeah, we can totally move on to the next activity. I think a lot of the points you mentioned are already up here. So unless there's any burning points that you really want to discuss.
There was one up there, it said something about leadership, and I don't remember what it was.
I believe it says transparent leadership, governance, and service that strives to be a model of faith, hope, and charity. Is that the one?
One thing that I would like to see is a better descriptor of what's the mayor's responsibility, what's the town council's responsibility. Get these letters and they write comments in the paper, but that tells me what they're doing. It doesn't tell me there is a responsibility. So if I have a question, I don't know who to go to. Do I go to the mayor? Do I go to the town manager? Do I go to the council people? So I just think some kind of preliminary outline, the mayor, these are their responsibilities, the town council and the town manager, because I've heard comments and I've not been at enough meetings, that I'm gonna say, but the town manager runs the town and the town council oversees. Now,
not anymore.
Well, I don't know that that was ever a fair statement. The duties of the mayor and the commissioners, as well as the department heads, are all set forth in the town charter, which is available online. And all you need to do is to access that data point, and it will tell you, I mean, in simple terms, the mayor is the executive and the commissioners are the legislators. So the
what's the role of the town manager?
So the town manager is here to make sure that these things all get done. And if you look at that description, there's a job description there as well. So those are all set forth in the charter. I mean, and if what you're talking about is maybe having an additional source of information, that's certainly something that could be looked at, but those,
It's just something with bullet points.
yeah, well, that's pretty much what the charter is. It says the commissioner, and that's also in state law. And just for everybody's reference, I'm Leslie Powell and I am the town attorney. So, but if you look at what's in the charter, it says, this is what the commissioners are supposed to do. This is what the mayor is supposed to do. You know, my job as a town attorney is to provide legal advice. And so it goes. And so that's all set forth there. And it really is kind of in bullet form, you know, point already, because you can't, I mean, we'd just be regurgitating the charter.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the second activity, which is the SWOT analysis. If you can go 2 more slides. Yeah, so you may already know where it is, but I just want to break it down just in case. SWOT stands for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Strength involves positive attributes that give an entity, in this case, the town, a competitive advantage and contribute to its success. And one example, I mean, you guys gave us a lot of examples, but one example is that Emmitsburg is a fairly close-knit community. So it gives people a great sense of belonging. It makes them feel safe and welcome. So that's strength. Then we have W, which stands for weakness, which is an area where the town has some limitations. For example, while we have some small businesses and industrial activities, the job opportunities here are relatively limited. which leads to a lack of economic diversity. So that's a weakness. And then we have O, which stands for opportunities, which is something that can be used as an advantage to meet the town's goals. This is a very beautiful town that can further capitalize on its natural beauty and historic attractions to boost the local economy. So that's an opportunity right there. And then we have threats, which involves factors that can negatively impact the town. And one example of that is the challenges that come with the low capacity of water taps, because this can negatively impact the town by limiting development opportunities. Then I'll go over the three pillars of sustainability before we start the activity. Do you want to go to the next slide? So the Brundtland report in 1987 first mentioned the three pillars of sustainability, which are economic, environmental, and social, because sustainable development can only be achieved when there is economic vitality, environmental protection, and social equity. It's also called the triple bottom line, and it's essential in town planning because these provide a framework for creating sustainable communities. So economic sustainability or economic vitality involves economic growth and characterized by investment, job creation, successful commercial activities, etc. And then we have environmental protection, which is characterized by reduced ecological footprint, reduced air and water pollution, also conservation of energy. And then the third pillar is social equity, which is characterized by inclusive, healthy communities who have access to basic amenities such as affordable housing, healthcare, education, and social services. So you'll see that there are three large Post-its in the back, one for each of the pillar of sustainability. And then each one of them has a SWOT analysis matrix. So I know we talked about a lot of strengths and opportunities like just now, so feel free to jot them down and stick them up there. Just really want to know what your experience is like as a member of the community. And we'll take about 20 minutes to do this activity and then we'll have a discussion.
I just put trails and parks up on the phrases.
Business management as well.
What they call nation building. Is an activity that's driven primarily by Department of State. It's carried out by a lot of actors, but the things that they is in the process of nation building. First thing you do is go into a country and and then they start looking at the press and social press and economics. And I don't think one is any better than the other. Those are things so just food for thought.
Well, I just wanted to just like speak reality. I think it's answering now, but it's not being- Sorry. No, yeah, it's, that's nice. That's what we saw. So you see Philomena's got the picture. Was a florist before that. I don't know. I have photos, I heard stories constantly. I don't know if there's something. It was a social. So I think it's not because that's going on. So I don't know what it was putting that. That's the treatment. We're actually trying to have some cool photos. Mildly creepy. So we're trying, we're gonna put a call out. Better photos. All that, just something fun to relax. Just try. You know. Well, we did that. We didn't have. We're not. Long time. Right. So,
Okay, but I.
yeah. We were before my language. I know we checked it on. That was the original plan, and that got foiled when I installed it.
Oh, really?
I like that job. We want to pull right in, park, go in. I know they're sitting in those shoeboxes under the bed, or me, have photographs. We're trying to get better imagery. Here's our rendering.
I was in a drink talking about that. guess that was fair. Not much like that.
But she might have said
I don't know,
something.
maybe close to town, but if there was one, I know.
It's gotta work together, right? And your name is, oh, no, I'm forward. I'll wait for this.
I think it's funny, I get honked at,
So,
Oh.
yeah, I go in probably.
You know, we're gonna have to do that, we could.
I was down in Frederick. It's just a different, it's not like I grew up. Half an hour west of Westminster, Maryland, right past the. Where are you at?
It's a lot easier to go north or south,
Yeah.
but like, I feel like the states is like this, you have no, I have no idea where the branch.
Yeah. Yeah. So I grew up in Carroll County, much similar to Gettysburg. And so I was down in Frederick. It's not. Yeah, we usually. There's a strong shit like this. Just see what's going on. Oh, so you gotta get out.
White House on the corner, so another question.
I know.
That makes sense now.
The new mayor is very, very important. He's a big fan.
You know, 'cause it's like,
Go into the orange. Yeah. You know, now I got like the real, like, when I was in music, it was just Christmas, and now I got like certain types of guys. Yeah, so it's like, you know, they got me a sad but when we're doing it all together, like, you get a driver, you get a clerk, you get a different, you know, everybody, you gotta have one to keep going, so. Yeah, they're, I actually didn't even know it's all, like, I didn't know it was so yeah. So I was like, so I looked it up, I was like, oh no, you got it. Yeah. What's the statue on campus? Yeah, we had like manholes and trees, it's just something kind of hard to look
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I don't really.
Conversations have been part of this stuff.
Look, I can run around really long until the person can throw pretty tires, but I can't throw myself.
Yeah, I can't throw like when I do throw it goes I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worth my wife.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We're like parts of
Sorry. This is the only way I know how.
Yes, because everybody had a chance to put their comments up, so they don't. Yep.
Do you wanna put that one there? Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
All right, which one should we start with first? Anyone? Oh. So- Left to right? Okay, all right. All right. So. Social strengths, I see town events, turkey trot, farmer's market, improvements. That's a good strength. Does anyone want to elaborate or anything like that?
Chili cook-off was a good idea, just to get off the ground, hopefully next year it does. I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah, just, it needed a little more.
It just tried to happen too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we're taking a big step in the last year of the farmer's market, those leaps and bounds. You know, the plan has been drawn more. I think it's turned the corner for the better for that.
Yeah, that was a huge success here for our market was quite effective. Had years here. Those vendors who did, and I'm one of them. And for the last 3 years, we were there, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and no one came. So we said, good, we're not going back. And this year, even that last Friday, there were still 9 vendors there. And you have to institute better advertising for next year and learn from mistakes, and so I think it's gonna be better.
I'll move on to weaknesses. Disparate communities with that.
I think that's one of my, but we have not necessarily an Otroy feeling of Emmitsburg. You're either in Pembroke, you're Silo Hill. It's these disparate communities. If you talk to each member's list, they have wildly different worries, complaints, and hopes. I haven't seen that overarching of what they see outside of park. Because the only thing I've heard from all of them, it's kind of around the same thing, but I come down here, I hear, oh, it floods constantly. I go to Silo Hill, it's students. I go to Pembroke, why are we getting parking tickets? We're parking on curves when we don't have curbs. It's different things in different communities, but there's not that overarching sense of what's they consider Emmitsburg, they consider their community.
All right, then we have our recreation department, Blackwell.
That was me. Maybe it's a selfish thing. I'm a slow pitch softball player, and I have not played since I've been out here. But like having like a recreation program or something that kind of connects, whether it's a league. I mean, the parks and everything are great, but having leagues of something just so I can stay active. That was more of a personal thing, but it's something I feel like it could help. Yeah, it could help.
Well, and some of that, because the Parks and Rec has a lot of things, but if they don't know that there's an interest, and you might have to stimulate it to get it started. Yeah, I don't know how the baseball taken away, but the Thermont teams come up here all the time. The Lions Club runs the concessions.
So I can speak to the baseball things. One, it was the same parents that were doing everything and stepping up. So as kids aged out and nobody stepped up, things just withered away. Plus, there was a change in baseball. So Emmitsburg got involved.
Sorry.
Just one point is that Frederick County Recreation is very focused towards there's not as much more fun, right? So you get to Thermont, not as much as there is up in the parts of the county, but that's kind of where it stops, much, right? So But, so I feel like you would probably a pretty good area to draw from. That's became a little more central to this person.
I think it's, I haven't heard it, but I think that's great, something for our next Parks and Recreation Committee.
All right.
You on that?
It's got herself.
Yeah.
After she pays her work.
Okay, lack of transportation. Main Street, not a real attraction for,
That's fine. Yeah, you know, like downtown, like you see certain downtown areas that you feel like look more walkable, like to kind of hang around and socialize. It's, you know, you can see like there's potential, but for reasons probably everybody here knows that I don't know. It just doesn't, you know, has, you know, whatever passed away, it just has to come back. You know, so that's.
okay, so we can move on to opportunities. More opportunities for youth and elderly.
I would just like to say something about that. I'm active in seniors. And recently, there are 4 or 5 communities in the county that are part of the Frederick County Senior Center. Vermont, they have their own senior center. They're not part of the county. But they've tried to take some of these workshops and move them around. So Evansburg has more of them, or there'll be one, it'll be at one center and then it's virtually to the other. And so I think some of that is a matter of getting the word out and letting people know that these opportunities exist. You should think, how many senior citizens in Evansburg are gonna go to something? But they do rotate it and some of it's virtual, so some of it maybe it's just important. And Parks and Rec for the children with all the activities that they.
More outreach, welcome wagon.
This was something Diane and I were just talking back here a couple minutes ago. You know, as an example, 20 some years ago, I moved in. There was a concerted effort, and I think it was from the EPA.
A bunch of different groups work together.
Literally gave baskets to new residents, and it was, goodies and stuff, but then it was coupons for stuff in town and contact lists, and these are the things that are in town that you may be interested in. And I think it helped people, obviously, a lot of new families moving in, people were engaged. But we don't do that anymore, and then over time, even though developments are built out, there's always turnover, particularly turnover, in a newer development as opposed to perhaps town. So just trying to figure out what's that way to continue to get people socially engaged and know that there are, these services, these opportunities to serve the community out there. So just something we try to
Back Sabrina from the town. He came to me, trying to, trifold pamphlet, from that. I'm working on revising that right now, so maybe I can go in and talk about that.
Absolutely, and giving coupons is good for
Absolutely,
business.
that's part of Sabrina's cooking this up right now. It's just revising the one that EBPA made a few years ago.
Does this with a new orientation for students come in.
Yeah, that's very useful.
For the second year now, they've taken on the park, all day, new students. Even businesses, the churches, whatever, get to know the town and so forth. But they don't do that for, movement, people in the Sea Village or wherever.
So there was discussion, because this has been such a great success with announcements every year, to also make it before or after that for the members of the town, just to get to know about the businesses that are here. Same thing, run it off at the same time, same location.
I like that you said that, because that was my idea.
Oh, yay!
But I took it from my small town in Kansas, But we blocked off Main Street, we called it Block Park. And we did they were Swedish immigrants there, we did like a Swedish bingo cart. And they went to the local businesses instead of doing vendors, and they did that one, so, but what we did, but I'm glad it's not a success for sure. We'll keep doing that.
That's, I was better there as well, so.
Yeah.
It's been a great success.
Yeah, it was, it helped our
You know, I guess just to kind of capitalize on what you, the other thing that's just interesting with COVID, and just my personal story is, you know, of course, when we were in complete lockdown, it's like, had to figure out how to do certain things that I would do, kind of work in Frederick or, you know, like, when I was in Germantown, and have E+ graphics and able to do land plans and scan them, have them scan them in there. So it's just the way, you know, a lot of us still, now Emmitsburg is not only home, but it's work for 2 to maybe 3 days a week, depending on, you know, what you do and things like that. So I think reminding people there are services here, or is there a service here that you're finding that's not being fulfilled, that we can figure out a way to bring it in, talk about what kind of jobs, you know, okay, do we need to zone it for something that's not happening, talk about daycare, there may be other personal or even business services that
or
we're
a
not,
small business incubator,
Yeah.
which SBA will fund.
yeah. Um,
So we have threats, or one threat, high ratio of Alice Pop makes it different to participate.
That was mine, and I scribbled it very quickly. So we were talking about the Alice population earlier.
Yeah.
Uh, Knowing what I know about that population, and my wife has worked extensively with that population, somewhat. You know, folks that are just making ends meet and kind of struggling, they often don't have the energy to go out and do things and socialize, make things. So, you know, with the number of Alice folks we have in this town, that's almost half of our population, but really aren't interacting much with the rest of the town. So that's about that. I don't have an answer or solution for it.
I mean, we'll come up with solutions at the next meeting, that's the point, so, yeah. So I'll move on to economic. One strength are large institutional community members, Mount, NETC, Dartmouth Charity, and Basilica. Does anyone wanna talk about that? Pretty self-explanatory, okay. Weaknesses, lack of jobs with livable wage. And lack of entertainment. Old school, lack of parking, I know that's a big one. Lack of water taps, and another one, lack of parking. Does anyone want to talk about any of those?
I just have a question. I keep hearing this thing about lack of parking. I'm confused by that. I don't understand why we have a lack of parking. What do they want to park for?
Let me jump on this before he.
Thank you.
So I'm a business owner downtown. Where are my customers gonna park? I'll give you an example. I'm at Don's shop. I can park directly in front. Chances are he's feeding the meter. I'm Bobby out. He's feeding the meter. Right? The number of hair places you have around, they're feeding the meters. Plus, I don't have a place that's comfortable. I mean, you go any weekend, let's say on Saturday, busiest day. There was more off-street parking or some other things, they do more business.
How does this lot find us? Is it? We don't have any signs. I realize it's a block map, but it's okay. It's not that long of a wall. We don't have any signs that say this is
Right.
public parking, right? I mean, or even the school. I mean, on weekends, the school is generally not used. But again, we don't have any signs that. Somebody that's passing by that doesn't know. Yeah. Or encourage owners to park there for free and free up the other spots.
Right, so it's, I hear
Plus,
daily from a business owner here or
they
there.
remodeled the downtown square a few years ago. They put more
Yeah.
parking spots. long story short, I was told by the new mayor that he was turning on purchasing the lot from former St. Avenue to help address the problem, because it's sitting right there. Should, you know, hopefully things can start happening soon. With what Mayor Davis told me, how he envisions it is a couple of long-term parking spots towards the back of the lot for college kids. And the rest of the that's what he's seeing, and the wheels are turning about trying to purchase it from Seeker.
Well, what about people who are going to college and purchase?
They have a substantial spot behind them. Up the side.
Get that, but it's so.
There's not a lot of foot traffic.
Yeah, and even at our meters, you don't go into Odd House and you don't go into a tattoo shop. You turn down in an hour. So even our meters are not in line with businesses, what we want them to do.
We find a way around it, you know, but it needs to be addressed. You were at the meeting with the, you know, it's one of the biggest problems. For businesses, we all talk a good game about bringing more businesses into town. Okay, cool. Let's bring more businesses into town. Where the hell are people going to park? Stop and get out of their car and visit those businesses. If there's nowhere to park, they're not going to stop. Period. So that needs to be addressed. It's of paramount importance. You can't have one without the other, right? You can't talk out of the side of your mouth saying we want business development, be it big business, small business, and not have anywhere for people to get out of their car and go visit that business. Doesn't make any sense. So it's got to be a two-punch.
And then like the pool lot, how is the pool lot? Again, that's public.
Right, there's rules about when you can park there
Yeah.
during the season and can't park there.
Yeah.
And right, it's a bit of obscure.
And that's, I mean, at least for 9 months out of the year.
It could be, right,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's not clear, at least to me.
No, I agree, there's
Yeah.
there's no sign.
There's no,
There's no sign
something
that says
explains.
Blue signs is, I mean, I think a little bit of wayfinding to get people to realize, okay, you're blocking half off. You know, it's not that bad of a walk to encourage people to park here. Maybe we need to work with public schools, particularly on weekends.
I tell my clients to park on the Wall Street churches.
Yeah.
That's just the Lutheran church behind us. They just ask you to park at the bottom of the lot, so people don't conform to that.
I guess the other thing you have to do is you have to have the town map show that that's public parking.
Yes.
Like, people use their GPS, where can I park in
Absolutely.
wherever you are, so. You know, because they're not gonna stop at the business for the business to tell them you can park there.
Then go back out to their
Yeah.
car and find a ticket on the windshield, because
You have to make it convenient for them.
But then you answer my question. That's an answer. That's my answer.
I have other ideas, but we probably need to move on.
Yeah, we'll move on to opportunities, welcoming small businesses. New economic zone on east side of Route 15. Does anyone wanna talk about?
I gotta jump in, welcoming small business, it's the business person here. I hear from business owners on a regular basis how difficult it is to do business in the town. To over-regulation, to filing fees, that have to keep redoing the fee over and over because of some minutia. Are obscure rules. I mean, I think everybody's heard me complain for the last year about signage ordinances. There is not a week goes by that somebody isn't calling me about our signage ordinances. So I don't know, you know, we like to say we're, you know, pro small business, but if you talk to the business owners in town, I don't think there's one that buys that line.
out of walk. It's just,
But it was a lot of opportunity. I mean, it was under opportunity.
Yeah.
Threats surrounding towns being more attractive to move to start a business.
Yeah, I mean, you've got. Which, you know, it depends what you're looking to do, right? Like, what are you trying to, I mean, what's, if you could think of your ideal town that exists somewhere in the US. Yeah, the towns do the same thing, right? So,
Liquor stores.
Okay. That's my word. But not in terms of like how many we have now, but this, like, I've heard that they want, there's more want to be established, and, you know, from a college student perspective, it just creates problems, right? It creates problems for the town when there's more liquor available, things like that. Not that it's a bad thing, 'cause I drink Miller Lite, you know, so like, but it's just, that's the root of the problem within town, is beer cans all over the place, that's why I get the calls and things like that. If for economic development, if more liquor stores were to come, I just don't know if that's good for grade.
It won't happen. Liquor stores are driven and regulated by the state, and each county has its own separate little set of laws, which, you know, can make anybody insane, but liquor stores are population-based driven. So I don't know that you have an immediate concern about more liquor stores.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, your point's well taken, but I think that, I mean, that's something that's outside of Emmitsburg's control.
Then I guess thing we did talk about was lack of childcare. Do you want to talk more about that, or should I move on to next?
What can the town do as it pertains to the plan that we're trying to discuss here? What can the town do as far as a liaison with the county? Is this sorts here for the childcare that we all discussed and showed concern with earlier? Like, is that what we're? Is there something? Is there someone in the town office who we could designate to? Like, again, from that scope here. It's a problem. We need healthcare, or pardon me, we need childcare. That would be a really big opportunity.
I think that it would be part of the comp plan is in the economic development arena. And I think it's, yeah, and I think that it's also an opportunity for maybe some programs with the Mount, for example, to the extent it has an early childhood education program, there's your employment well. And because we're also talking, I mean, childcare, let's face it, is one of the lowest compensated, you know, services available. But I think that if we put that, you know, maybe, you know, boosting the economic development department of Emmitsburg, and then that's something that could go in there, and then maybe, you know, having that person work synergistically with the Mount. And also, I mean, and this would be true across the board, because students that are looking to get experience are great sources of, you know, for internships, great ideas, fresh ideas. And so, you know, if you've got master's programs in business administration, I mean, there's a big resource there.
I think the elephant in the room is the untapped.
Yeah.
Everything that could be huge this up. So, my point being, sorry, and I'll shut up. I think it should be prioritized in this plan, that the healthcare for childcare.
I'd like to speak, talking about this, because we have used urgent care and the lab stuff that is now at the Mount, instead of having to drive all the way to Gettysburg, all the way to Frederick, to go in there. And I don't know how many people are really aware of the fact that this wonderful benefit is right here in her backyard. Yes. So if we could highlight it, maybe get one of the newspapers to do a big article on it or something, because I've talked to people, oh, I mean, I'm down 15 to sign this right there, but if it's not in your.
Well, they may not realize it's
It's
for the greater community.
Yeah, right, that's, I don't think that's.
Just before we go on, I mean, I think the other thing to keep in mind, all these things, since we're looking at comp plan, will be a land
Mhm.
Part of this is there available land for daycare and other commercial opportunities?
Right.
That would work also that spill into zoning and things like that, so we always have to remember there's a land zoning part of that. Makes sense too. That availability to, it's not gonna be located elsewhere like the mountain, you want to have something located.
Place with Duke State, their seminary, and now school of health profession. At one point, the city did have, like, 5 childcare at some point. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's cool. Which
On
is
this road. So he thought maybe that might be some opportunity if that's a possibility.
We'll move on to environmental. That's okay. All right. First one we have under strength is tallest or trailless. Sorry, trails and parks. Can't read. And we talked about that earlier. Marky mentioned it. Beautiful green space, the mountain range, great parks, trails, natural beauty, Rainbow Lake, trails, hunting parks, trail systems. Covered all ground there. Okay, great. Weaknesses, loud Main Street and busy, and ways to get to other areas of town. Okay,
So,
good.
yeah, so environmental, I'm just thinking, not just like. Not just, you know, but as far as like being able to, kind of, you were saying, get to certain parts in a safe way. It's like having sidewalk in Irish Town. It's great that there's like a bike trail for a little bit. Go down that hill and then move, and I get it, it's just the way a town was back in the old days. But then I think about where his friends are, where they live, and maybe they live on a farm. Like, how would we ever walk? So I just think.
Opportunities, high performing development standards.
Yeah, so it kind of helps mention, again, we're gonna be looking at a forward plan that's coming forward, whether it's residential land uses, commercial, industrial, whatever. Start looking at higher performing development standards. I mean, I think the neighborhood that I live in with kind of adjacent Brookfield, I cringe every time I ride on the road. But I realized that that's the development standard from the 80s or the 90s. The road's just way too big. And, it's so ironic that we have the speedy little things out there now. But everything about that is not what we're doing today. We're narrower roads to an extent to slow people down, certainly in neighborhoods, wider green panels, wider sidewalks, and things like that. So you could have the same development footprint, but a higher performing standard that comes with it. So we just need to recognize that so we can fix it moving forward, not just as something comes in, not just accept where we are. Again, always get better. We learn from it. Let's get better the next time. So that's just, it's really tied obviously with the environment. Amount of pavement on Brookfield Drive, you can produce 4 feet of pavement all the way through there. Think of how much impervious surface that is. That can be green area, and it's not gonna stop traffic. Slower speeds.
So, excuse me, Eric, are you suggesting then that as part of the comp plan, that the town take a look at local road widths and repurpose a portion of those dedicated areas?
Good. I mean, that'd be great.
Mhm.
What's interesting when Brookfield was finished off, like stripe lane all the way through Brookfield to
Mm-hmm.
narrow the road from a psychological standpoint when you're driving it, but allow people to feel comfortable riding a bike, because kids will ride bikes psychologically narrow. Not, we'd love to remove pavement, but I think with paint's cheap.
Right.
And I agree, I think like looking forward is, even if the comp plan just says, hey, we need to look at these things in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Roadway widths and development standards, I think that would be. great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
process it. Yeah.
Figure out how to make it happen.
Right.
Another opportunities we have, get more citizens involved in cleanup.
That was me. We had a community cleanup day, and it was really exciting. We actually got like 45 people out. We had different teams, and people stopped us and said, thank you, it's wonderful. We did different areas of the town, and it was just a really good, anything that can give us that community spirit of working together to make our stuff that Jack doesn't work. Burn on the side of the street here. I think that's all I've seen. But that's a sense of building community. That helps us.
I like that idea. I mean, because what you know, the recycling just blows everywhere. And like, if you go and pick it up by yourself, you look kind of weird.
I have looking weird.
Then it's like, okay, yeah, they're doing something, and yet it gets to the same point.
Yeah.
And but everyone can have fun and meet each other.
Yeah.
That's great.
It was very successful last year, so I hope we do it again.
We have one last, speaking of, threats over development. Looks like your handwriting, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's my handwriting.
Okay.
Just that we need to not just build houses, to get away from that idea of the bedroom community, to look at mixed-use development that, can bring economic development, businesses, other kinds of opportunities. I tried to convince people that we still needed to keep some business development on the west side of town. On the east side, but you see, I think it would be better for our town if business development was more spread out throughout the town. Just focused in one place, because then everybody gets in their car. I lost that.
All right, so I'll talk about next steps. Do you wanna go to the one after? So what we're gonna do is dedicate 3 workshops to each of these pillars to come up with vision statements. I know I heard a lot of good ideas here tonight, but if I can see them in statements, and that's something we can add to the comp plan, and that'll guide us through 2040. So that's the plan for January 29th, February 26th, and March 25th. So mark your calendars. Please be here. Also, make sure you've signed in, so I know to send you a thank you note for being here tonight. Yeah, so that's about it. Thanks again. Sorry, did you have a question?
Yeah, will there be updates of what you're working on? Should we go to the town website and look for those, or?
Yes, yeah, there will be updates. There's a page just for comprehensive plan. There'll be a dashboard, and then there's also an option to make any comments you have.
The other thing to emphasize is that right now we're sort of in the fact gathering stage, as well as the goals of the citizens of the town. And so if you have other ideas, please communicate them. Don't just say, okay, well, I went tonight. And then if you have another thought, please share it, because I represent different municipalities, and I will tell you that citizen input is really important. And this is your opportunity to help shape your town. And it's super exciting. It's a great opportunity, you know, so tell your friends and neighbors and take advantage of it because this is what counts. So, but, you know, please, you know, send your emails in if you have other ideas. If you have a brainstorm, please share it.
Do you plan to put up the results of this workshop on the web?
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Appreciate it.